This is not just a Salt Lake City problem. This is a Utah problem, and we need to approach it as such.
More legislators are aware of the concerns and the needs and the money that we need to help people.
In 2023, approximately 30,000 Utahns access services from the homeless system, some service. This statistic underscores a significant demand that is happening within our state. And all the state's targeted efforts are getting to these individuals and families, getting them housed. Homelessness, we know, negatively impacts health, the sense of safety, and overall development of individuals and families. And Utahns experiencing homelessness are the same as many others. They're working hard to support themselves on limited or no income, but then they experience an unforeseen circumstance, of course, a job loss, illness, disability diagnosis, unexpected medical bill, a divorce, domestic violence that leads them to seek help from the programs that we provide. And it's up to us to assist those in need. One of the ways that we can do this is the appropriately and aptly and perfectly named Pamela Atkinson Trust Fund. We're so grateful that we can put her name on that because her story is our story, and her work is our work.
It provides so many services, and it's incredible the change in people's lives.
To be able to point to an example here in Sandy is a big deal for all of us and is really making a difference.
More homeless people are getting off the streets, getting the help they need in the resource centers, and getting back into society.
It's kind of a dream come true for the work we're trying to do, and frees up so many resources in other places.